pourquoi?
And we're back with episode 8.5 of Monday Night Frights. Tonight we're talking about Alexandre Aja's High Tension, Danny,
Ooh.
aka Switchblade Romance. Uh,
AKA meh.
Meh.
Meh movie.
Or
Uh,
as it's known in France, Haute Tension.
Attention.
Haute Tension.
Attention.
Um, a very meh movie for you. We have briefly spoken
Mhm.
about it.
I have,
Not
yeah.
officially, but you weren't a big fan, which we'll get into in a
Yeah.
bit.
Some of you may have seen me briefly talking about it on the Banter Flick show, so
hmm
you'll know already why I am meh about it. But now
Why you're meh.
delve deep. We're gonna delve real deep into my mehness on
We're
this
going to have a
film.
bit of a deep dive into it.
It's probably, you know
Um,
what? It's probably not even meh. It's only meh in the final act. Like up until the final act, I was having a fairly decent time, and then the final act just fucked it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's in general the kind of overall consensus of the film is that the negative reviews all enjoy it until the kind of last reveal,
Yeah.
which was a big sort of holy fuck moment.
Hmm.
Um, Before we get into it, just want to apologize that this is episode's a bit late, as me and Danny were both fucking sick.
We both were very sick
You were
boys.
sick first, actually.
I was sick first, and then you
Uh,
followed up with the sickness.
you had a wee throat infection or something.
I had a fucking whole load of things going on just after Christmas there,
hmm
just falling to bits. But
Christmas
getting there.
was tough, man. It was
You know
exhausting.
what? I kind of thought I was like, oh, I've got a nice stretch off over Christmas. I bet you
hmm
if I could get sick. And then no, it was just after it'd been off, just as I was getting back into work. I got sick and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, I managed to go through the whole Christmas period not getting sick. There was a few days where I thought I was getting the cold, and I was like, "Here we go."
Hmm.
I think I had a wee touch of it around September, but it didn't last too long. So I was quite happy. But then I knew that if I'd got to the new year not having it, I was like, "I'm definitely getting this in January."
Due at some time.
It's basically because it's been so cold the past few days as well. Like it's been
Freezing like.
-5 the last
Hmm.
2 nights. So,
Real chilly.
but we're back. We're back. So
We're here.
we are here. I'm still getting over it, but we'll get through it. We'll get through
Yeah.
it. Or you, our fans, as we always do, Danny. So we are talking about High Tension. It was the 20th anniversary last year, 2023. It was supposed to be released on a very special limited edition 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray box set
Hmm.
by Second Sight Films in November, and it got put back till December, and then it was also put back from that date until January. So it's released now on January the 22nd. So you can actually go and pre-order that on Second Sight website, or I'll put a wee link in the description below. But that's why we're talking about it because it's 20
Not that we're
years.
sponsored. Are we sponsored?
We're not sponsored, but you know
Oh,
what? I will promote things because
yeah.
they were
Why
very
not?
kind to send me a copy of it. So there you go. Big up to Ian Publicity for doing that. But yeah, so the limited edition you can go and pre-order now, and it is a good Blu-ray. There's some good interviews on there and brand new interviews, and there's an audio commentary as well. I really enjoyed all the extras on it as well, and some archive interviews as well. So go and check that out. But we're here to talk about High Tension today
Hmm.
and 20th anniversary, directed by Alexandre Aja, who this was his second feature film. He was very young when he directed this in 2003, and he would go on to direct a remake of Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes in 2006, Piranha 3D. He did Crawl, the alligator
Okay.
film
Yeah.
film from a couple of years ago, or crocodile film, one of the two. And he did an adaptation of Joe Hill's Horns, starring Daniel
Hmm.
Radcliffe as well.
That's good. I like that.
So, bit of a mixed bag
Hmm.
from Alexander Aja. Uh, but overall, I think as a filmmaker, he is quite a good filmmaker. I know
Yeah.
he's had a mixed bag and mixed reviews on his films. Um, it was written by a good friend of his called Gregory Levasseur. They were
Levasseur.
friends. Yeah, apparently they were friends since they were like 11 or 12 years old. They went to school together and they sort of formed this bond whenever they found out that they both kind of liked mm, grindhousey exploitation films of the 70s and 80s. You know, they were big fans of Wes Craven's original Hills of Eyes, and it was a dream come true for him to make this. So the remake, I mean. So they formed this bond and they started writing together at an early age. They had written a short film called Over the Rainbow, which actually premiered at Cannes, I think,
Which
the short film category, and
and is that anything
go.
to do Wizard of Oz by any chance?
I don't think so. I don't know. I
Oh,
didn't read much about it other than the title, and information is pretty vague, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere. You can get it. I think it got okay reviews. I mean,
mhm.
if it's playing at Cannes, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
And then this got him the it got him a bit of funding to make his first feature film,
yeah.
which interestingly enough, Danny starred a little known French actress called Marion Cotillard, who would go on to bigger things, of course. Um, I think that film's called Furio. I don't think it received very good reviews. I don't know anything about
Mhm.
it. It wasn't a horror film. It was more of like a romantic drama type thing. I'm not really sure. Maybe it is a horror. I don't think it was horror. Maybe thriller, but definitely wasn't anywhere near as extreme as High Tension.
Mhm.
Uh, so we will call it High Tension. It was released in the UK as Switchblade Romance, and I bought the DVD and watched it and liked it then. But I think my opinions have changed a little bit. I think with the twist ending, I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Back then, because it was like, "Oh, it's so good." Oh, I didn't
It
see
was
it.
the style at the time.
Yeah, and then now I'm looking back, and now when I've rewatched, obviously, we watched the new Blu-ray and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I can see, why people didn't like it because it really didn't really make sense, a lot of it. And by the way, if you haven't seen the film, there's going to be massive spoilers in this,
Oh yeah,
so there's no
we're
point in watching
gonna like
this.
that's the thing with Bannerflix. I couldn't go into any great detail, couldn't
I
spoil
Yep,
anything. But this year we're gonna go hard. We're gonna
yeah, because
tell
like
all.
the twist is like a massive twist that it's quite a shocking twist.
Is
A,
it
a
the
bit nonsensical,
no
let's be honest.
nonsensical
But yeah.
shocking twist? But yeah, just one of those things that yeah, when it happened, I was just like, oh fuck off.
Mm, hmm
I was like, really?
I think
Okay.
we'll get into the twist later and we'll
Yeah,
explain it a
yeah.
wee bit
We'll
more.
talk
But
about it more in a bit.
so the basic premise is that it's a French slasher survival horror about two students who go to a secluded farmhouse to stay with one of their parents, or one of the characters' parents, and then they're attacked by this mysterious killer who takes one of the girls hostage, and the other girl then has to go and try and save her friend. And this kind of sets off a chain of events, which has this very a couple of gory kills along the way,
Hmm.
um, and then quite an over elaborate reveal at the end.
Yeah.
But the budget was 2.5 million, and it made 6.8 million, so
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
quite a successful film.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it stars Cécile de France,
This is different.
and Mai Wen is the other girl that stars in it.
Hmm.
And then the killer is played by Philippe Nahin, who is a French actor who I think at this point had played a lot of killers. Have you seen the film Irreversible?
Oh, yeah, the one
Gaspar
that plays
Noé.
it backwards. Yeah. Fuck.
He's worked with Gaspar Noé a few times, and I think he's quite famous for being like for playing like really bad characters, like really
Yeah.
evil men. So
Yeah.
initially, when he was offered this role, he turned it down because he didn't want to do that character again.
Hmm.
But then he probably needed the money, so he did it.
To
And
be
he's
fair,
good.
like he's
He's
fucking
good in it, man.
yeah, he's fucking great. Like I think I mentioned like I really like this idea of like a French redneck, and
Mm,
could you get anybody that looks more French redneck than this guy? And the way he plays it is just like, yep, it's great. Like that's the thing, the characters and the actors in this. I don't think could be faulted. I think they're all really good, really strong performances all around. It's
Hmm.
just that final act just kind of really fucking lets the whole thing down for me. And I'm gonna keep saying it because it really was. It was such a real bummer
Well,
when it happened. Like,
I think sadly with a film like this, it's hard to talk about it without keep going back to the
yeah.
twist or the reveal because so much of the film revolves around that reveal at the end.
Hmm.
Um, if it just sort of stayed, a sort of more standard slasher,
Yeah.
I think it would have been,
I think it would have
you
been fine.
know,
I think I would have finished it and been like,
yeah,
that was a decent slasher film.
yeah,
Like,
and I
I
think it
think,
would definitely be regarded, you know, a lot more highly now than what it is because of that reveal. But I don't know. It definitely has its haters, but it definitely has its fans as well.
yeah, yeah. Like, I think there's a lot to like about it. There
Hmm.
is a lot to like about it. It's just I think it's one of those ones where that because of how, for me anyway, for how bad the ending is, it almost lets the rest of it down, you know? And yeah, I think I mentioned on Bannerflix how the whole way through the film I was rooting for the protagonist. I was like, fuck yeah, like you've got this, you're gonna get through it. And there was so many like real high, it's got a lot of high tension in it. It's a real
Hmm.
tense film. There's some real tense moments in it. And
Hmm.
I almost feel like those moments are for naught because of the ending of the film. I think it really spoils a lot of those kind of moments when you realize, oh wait, like I was feeling for this person when I really shouldn't have been. It ruins it a wee bit for you, I think.
Right. Well, we may as well say what the twist is. I mean, anyone
Oh.
watching this already knows what the twist is, but the twist is that the lead character, the protagonist, Marie, is the killer from the very start, and it's one of those things where it's got a bit of a Fight Club-esque type of reveal where the killer who we think is the killer it doesn't exist at all, and everything we've seen is through the eyes of Marie, who's creating this false reality.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't really work in this film because so much of the film is based around her A, interacting with the killer or seeing the killer do things to other characters.
Yeah.
Where in Fight Club, eh, they sort of they're a bit smarter about it.
Hmm.
There's not big elaborate scenes that they don't explain.
The thing that
Whereas in
really
this, they kind of don't explain a lot of the stuff. They just
no,
expect us to go, oh well.
the thing that really throws me is so you open up with Marie in the like psychiatric ward sort of repeating the phrase over and over
Mm,
again, and then it cuts to them, it's like 2 days earlier, and it cuts to them like driving and planning to go out to the countryside to stay with her friend's her friend's parents, like house and all that sort of stuff. And but there's a shot, it then cuts to the like slasher redneck in his like grubby little exterminator truck,
mm.
like getting, it looks like he's getting
His wee
head,
Jeepers Creepers,
Jeepers Creepers moment.
Jewel.
And then fucking he obviously finishes and then like puts the what you then discover is a decapitated head
Yeah,
like out the window and drops it. And I'm like, but how does why did we need to see that
yeah.
if she is him, and like is that just something like in her head that she's fantasizing about in that moment, or was it just again to kind of gross us out and set us up for this grotesque character for again? And it's why then later when the reveal happens, there's not much of payoff because you're like, I was invested in that gross, creepy little man, and just to find out it's her, it's like,
So the reason why it doesn't really work is because you never really fully know what the explanation is. Yes, she's the killer, but
mhm,
they don't explicitly say she she is the embodiment of that physical character that you see,
yeah,
or she just envisions that character doing things and then she goes ahead and does it afterwards.
mm.
If that makes sense, because as you rightly say, like that was a completely different scene that just
It's a whole
happened.
other scene that it kind of cuts to, and then they cut back to them arriving at the family home, And it's
Uh-huh.
kind of just like, right, so they're setting us up for this villain who does horrible, grotesque things. And I was like, again, like I said, I was fine with that. I was kind of like, okay, cool. We've got this horrible, gross little creepy, like French redneck exterminator man who's gonna fuck shit up.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just for me, it then just kind of felt a bit like, have you only included that so you kind of had something gross, like you had something to kind of psych us up a bit, like get us a bit kind of like whoa,
Yeah.
before all the real mad shit started to
I
happen.
think
Not that fucking a decapitated head isn't fucked up already, but it does start to get a bit wilder from there.
uh I don't know. It's. I mean, there is interviews on the new Blu-ray set with the director who sort of explains the mindset behind what they show and what they don't show. But again, it's all very quite vague, and it's just a bit. It's not enough for me, really.
Yeah.
But I think that the general vibe is that she is a troubled character who turns into this vicious killer
All
because
because she gives in to her lesbian cravings.
uh,
If you give
well,
in to your homosexuality,
yeah,
you'll go
it's
nuts. That's
it's
what this film taught me.
slightly problematic
Yeah.
reasoning behind it.
No, now
Even back
looking
then
at
in
it, it's like, yeah.
2003, but I mean, basically, she's got this sexual repression, and
Hmm.
it's not being reciprocated by her friend, who
Yeah.
she's clearly in love with,
Hmm.
and she has a good old masturbate
Yeah.
scene.
And that's what kicks off. That's what kicks the whole thing
Yeah,
off because that's his arrival happens just as she's flicking the bean.
and then once she climaxes, then that's when she sort of turns into a bad bitch, which is,
Yeah.
what happens to every woman, obviously,
Because
you
that's a
know.
yeah, she's being a creepy little kind of voyeur, like sort of looking in at her friend in the shower, and then becomes
Hmm.
this, her what's kind of like a small perversion turns into this big depraved
Hmm.
French redneck slasher man. Um, but yeah, I just even that bit, I was kind of like, I
But
hadn't put two and two together at that moment. It was just later when the twist happened, I was like, oh,
yeah,
so
but
gay
did you?
thoughts equal bad things.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I know there's a lot of negative press about that. And I don't think they were
No, it
highlighting that as
probably wasn't.
such.
Yeah.
But do you think that him being how he looked was that like actually like is that how like a fantasy for her? Was it like a kind of fantasy?
Maybe again, yeah, it's one of those things where I think as in terms of just a grimy character, just I think again we've talked before about how one of the things that I really like in horror is when the horror seems real, like it's set in reality. I'm
Hmm.
like, this seems like this has that kind of thing of, you know, out in the countryside, this fella obviously knows round about the area, but is just like a normal dude with the desire to kill and rape and be just a big gross thing. And again, I like that because I'm like, that's scary to me because it could happen. It's a real
Hmm.
thing. But then with the twist ending and her it being her but not her, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's by that point, by the time the twist happens, and I was just like this just scuppers
Hmm.
the villain of the piece and also then the hero of the piece because I do think, whenever she's kind of sneaking about and at first she's kind of, she's trying to save her friend and save, she kind of tries to save the brother and then later there's so many other points where she kind of starts to kind of come up and be a bit braver and stuff and I'm like this is great. This is good. She's trying to stand up for herself or at least get out of the situation. And then it just gets shit on.
Yeah. So it debuted at TIFF in 2003, um, and then it was purchased by Lionsgate and distributed in North America. But apparently they dubbed it when it was first screened.
Right.
And I was reading some reviews and stuff, early reviews of the dubbed version, and it was apparently it was really bad.
Oh, I kind of want to see that. I kind of
Yeah.
want to. I kind of want to see what they dub it with.
Excuse me. Um, so obviously it didn't get well received because of that initially, and then I think it got a wider release, um, where they released the French version, and obviously in Europe it was French, in the UK it was French as well. So
Mhm.
I thought that was quite funny. Fucking Americans and their
I
silly
have
dubbing,
to. I'm
you know.
surprised they haven't done like a remake, like their own American remake of it yet, or they probably have and just haven't heard of it.
I'm almost certain there hasn't been, but there was definitely. I'm sure there was one talked about.
Mm,
Um, at some point. I don't know. I mean, it seems quite ripe for a US remake. We've had
yeah.
remakes of like other French extreme films like Martyrs and uh other European films like that, like Funny Games and different things like that have been remade before. So I don't know why it hasn't,
Who
man. It's
knows?
a bit strange actually.
Maybe this Blu-ray release will prompt something.
Maybe.
Prompt a little revisit to high tension.
Um,
Tension.
Haute Tension. So what I do like about the film, if you cut out that final reveal, for me, it works really well as a really good, tense, extreme, gory, violent, well acted, and really well shot slasher film.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
know,
a
like
good looking film. Like it
it looks
does
great
look
and
the
it's
part and
it's
sounds
quite
the part.
yeah. There's some absolutely gorgeous shots in the film,
Hmm.
and really disturbing shots. Obviously, it's very gory,
Oh yeah.
um, and great sound
Hmm.
and well acted and really quite well written as well.
Yeah.
But again, that ending just annoying, very annoying.
Yeah. Do you think right? So yeah, there's a lot of gory kills. There's the fucking when the wee brother gets killed. That was tragic. I was like,
Mm,
fucking hell. Like I know he gets shot. But the way it like plays out and it's that kind of like moment of, you know, uh, you know, you run into the field and then
it's like
I'll
playtime. It's
yeah,
like sort of
exactly. Yeah. So that's but the one that really gets me is the mother. So the friend's mother
oh God.
gets her head put through like the spindles on a staircase and he gets the
No, the
fucking
dad. That's the dad.
as the dad gets the dad gets the fucking because the man's getting she gets played with upstairs. Blah.
Hmm.
But the dad gets his head put through the spindles of the staircase and then the killer gets a dresser and basically like rams it into his head and his head fucking explodes. Do you think if you rammed a dresser hard enough you could make someone's head explode?
Well, I think um yeah, if it's quite a heavy dresser, it would it, it decapitates him.
I feel like I feel like there just wasn't like it just happens that
It was too
quickly and in that
easy.
moment it was too easy. Yeah, I was like, fuck. I mean, obviously it's just done for the sake of gore. It's meant to be like a
Yeah.
um but I was just kind of I was like there need to be something like another wall in the way there and something else for it to
You
press again for the
you wanted it to be too real. You wanted to see the head
I want
hanging and lolling
yeah,
first.
maybe something a bit more realistic. It was just one of those moments where I was like, no way. I was like,
I know.
no way a dresser like that there's gonna be busting the head open
That
like
looked
that.
pretty heavy though.
It looked like a heavy enough dresser, but
I mean, he was
no,
struggling.
still,
Well, she. It was actually her. It wasn't the actual killer,
yeah,
but
yeah, but yeah, it's what a wild ride of a
I think
film.
that it is very gory. That was
That's the
quite shock.
goriest
That was
bit, I
quite
think.
shocking because I think a lot of us thought that they might cut away.
Yep.
They don't cut away. You see the head coming off. You see the blood spurt out.
Mhm.
When it was released, they did cut a lot of scenes a bit late to try to get it down to a better rating, and I think that was one of the scenes they cut away just before the head comes off. And I think with the
Okay.
mother getting her throat slit as well, I was reading that you do see her throat getting slit, which is very graphic.
Yep.
But I think they cut away before you see a lot of the blood. And then later on, which is even worse, because she witnesses all this from she's a wee Laurie Strode hiding in
Hmm.
the wardrobe, and then she comes out and she goes down to the mother, but the mother isn't dead yet, and she's still breathing. And you see and it's fucking
Yeah. Blip, blip, blip.
it's like a big gash about that wide. Oh,
Hmm.
stinking man.
Yeah. It's weird that they choose to call it Switchblade Romance because he uses a switchblade when he first comes in the house, and
Hmm.
it's kind of like pretty like relevant then. But then after the house scene, like he doesn't use it again. Like we don't see it again. So
No, I think I wonder is that more of a reference to her
him,
as a the character, and obviously
yeah.
the romantic sexual part of the story. That was partly that was the original, like the original title they were going to go with.
Hmm.
In one of the documentaries on the new Blu-ray, the director has he says that it was sold to the UK initially as Switchblade Romance, but when they sold it to Lionsgate, which is conflicting reports when I was trying to do my research, Danny, as I always
Oh.
do. They wanted the title to be High Tension, and then he said, "Yeah, just go with that." But I think he said he preferred the Switchblade Romance, which would lead me
Switchblade Romance.
towards
Okay.
it being a little bit more about her character reveal.
Yeah, I
Maybe
kind
that's
of
why they
thought
didn't want that either.
I thought that play on that and then him using a switchblade, but
Yeah,
then the fact that the switchblade kind of gets dropped like after his initial kind of like frenzy in the house, so I was kind of like, okay,
yeah,
all
and
right
all
then.
a lot of the artwork is her holding the big fucking chainsaw thing or the big
Yeah.
blade,
Hmm.
uh, which I suppose is a nod to it being a blade, even though it's not a, you know,
A switchblade. Yeah.
switchblade as such.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do love it. I love the look of it. I love the homage
Image.
to the likes of those sort of 70s and 80s kind of gritty exploitation films like, Hills of Eyes,
Yep.
which is obvious. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again, very
Hmm.
obvious. There's a little Halloween homage in there with her hiding in the wardrobe. There's another film called Maniac, um, which is, quite a popular slasher that got remade, actually by the same guy who plays Jimmy. So the guy who plays Jimmy in this, who gets the axe to the chest, is a guy called Frank Calhoun, sorry, and he directed the remake of Maniac, which stars Elijah Wood.
Oh.
Our pal, Elijah
Yeah.
Wood.
Or probably
Our
would.
pal. He's our buddy. Remember that time he took a picture of you
Remember that time you took a picture of me
wearing The Shining?
and I'm wearing a shining
He
jumper
didn't
and it's
post
on
it on
his
his Twitter
phone?
though.
No, I'm kinda like if someone knows Elijah Wood, tell them to send me that picture.
I know. So yes, he's our best buddy, Elijah. So and I think Aja wrote the or co-wrote the screenplay for that remake as well, because he's a big fan of Maniac. Have you seen Maniac, by the way?
No, it's not one I've seen.
It's worth a
Must get on it.
watch.
Yeah.
It's quite an influential film at the time. The remake starring Elijah is mostly all in first person POV,
Mm-hmm.
which is makes it even a wee bit more creepier.
Mm.
But the original film was quite influential on Aja as well, the director, and the DOP of this, who was called Maxim Alexander. This was one of his first feature films that he did. I think he did a great job. But the bathroom stall scene in this, where the killer,
Oh, I
uh,
love that scene. Like,
yeah, that's taken almost directly from a scene in Maniac. This film, when opens up one of the bathroom stalls and she's hiding somewhere, I can't remember where it is. It's a close up of her face, basically, but off to the side, you can see the bathroom, the side of the bathroom stall,
hmm.
and carved into the bathroom is the word Margaret, the girl's name Margaret, and that's directly lifted from Maniac.
Oh,
And
okay.
the DOP was like, I don't know what it meant, but he just wanted to do it, so just as a wee nod. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I did like all the homages,
Hmm.
and we love all that shit, man. We
Yeah.
love seeing little things and nods to other
Nods.
films, and
Love it.
I think it's definitely kind of highlights the passion that filmmakers have when they make films or and put little things in that are
Yeah.
nods to their favorite films.
Hmm.
Um, So your guy Maxime Alexander, actually, who was the DOP on this, as I said, this was one of his first feature films. I think he met your guy Aja because both their parents were in the industry and they were working on a film together or something, and then they sort of became friends through that. But he would go on to shoot Shazam of all films,
Right?
The Nun,
Okay.
and Haunting of Bly Manor. So there you go.
Okay. Well, it does, and that's the thing. Yeah, like I said before, it looks really nice.
Hmm.
And yeah, it sounds really nice too. The music in this as well, like really brings a lot of the tension
Mm,
to it.
mm.
You know, it really plays a massive.
That high pitch sort of like
Yep,
it's
real
what is it? It's like
pitch and stuff.
it's like somebody hitting something real echoey or something. What is it?
Yeah,
It's really
it's
disturbing.
yeah, it really adds to the overall atmosphere of the film.
Mm.
Um, I just yeah, it could be a really, really, really good film if they just cut the ending.
I suppose they thought maybe they needed a bit more of a kind of frenetic action style finish to it. So they had that big, elaborate ending where the killer sort of turns into a bit of a maniacal cartoon killer, where he comes out and his face is
Yeah,
all covered in blood and he's got the chainsaw and he's kind of running kind of crazy like, which he
yeah,
didn't do throughout the whole film. He was very lumbering throughout the whole film and he walked slowly, very Michael Myers-esque.
hmm
You didn't see his face. It was always from his eyes downwards, which
yeah,
was that was, you know, 100% intentional because they didn't want to show his eyes really. They wanted just to show his face down. And all the camera work was quite slow and it wasn't shaky, whereas whenever it showed you Marie when she was kind of running away, it was very chaotic and the camera was shaky. That was all intentional. But then towards the end they switch it. Which I suppose makes sense thematically.
what do we like about it? I've already mentioned that I like the bathroom scene. I like that whole lead up into the bathroom scene as
Mhm.
well. When you have him chatting with the fella in the convenience store in the gas station and the tension that's built there because he's kind of trying to play it like he's just a normal dude, but then he's also trying to intimidate him. I was like, fuck, this is
And he
good.
knows
Like
him as
that's
well.
really solid. Yeah. Like I really enjoyed that. I thought that was you know, it showed that he was just a guy, like he was just a dude. You know, I think that again, like I said, there's the reality of the situation that makes it that bit more kind of like, ooh, this is creepy, this is gross. That was probably like one of my top moments, which again is why I'm like I was rooting for the people in that scene. You know, I was rooting
Mm.
for somebody to come out a winner or something to happen, and yeah, it was just good. That was a good, well written, tense scene.
But I did like that scene, and I like the the death in it where he gets axed in the chest is lifted directly from The Shining as well.
Hmm
So when Halloran gets axed in the chest, but that's a good scene. I really like the bathroom scene. I think it is just a super intense film in general. Like it doesn't really slow down.
No.
Basically, once the killer goes to the house.
hmm
Um, Obviously the death of the mother for me, I think, was the most disturbing
Yeah.
scene in the whole film. I think also because of the way the mother plays it. I don't know, something about her face, man, just the way she reacts to it. And obviously she's getting her throat slit, but it's very creepy. It's very, very creepy. And there's a great scene later as well where uh I think I want to say it's after she beats him
Mhm.
to death. And there's a really brief scene where she goes to scream and she sort of leans back and she goes to open her mouth and she just holds the scream for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds
Mhm.
and then she screams and it's just like ah that just feels so real and
Yeah.
like feels like it's like just 2 or 3 hours of what she's went through building up in her. So again, that little tiny detail was really well done. Uh, the end's a bit, we've talked about the twist, but even before we get to the twist, we talk, that bit where he's rolling down with the chainsaw. It's maybe a bit over the top. But I did like how when we get the reveal and her friend, uh, Alex, I think's her name, is tied up in the back of the truck, and Marie is like, "Oh, I've killed him now. He's not going to hurt you." And we don't know this yet. We don't know it's her, but Alex reacts really weird to her and is like screaming at her and telling her to get away. And we're like, why is she doing this? And then it sort of cuts back and forth with the CCTV footage. But I do like how Marie doesn't ex like she doesn't accept it. Like she's just walking towards Alex, and then it cuts between her and the killer holding the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And then we get that wee bit at the end where she tells her she loves her, and we sort of put it all together, and it's kind of like, oh God, here we go. It's because
Mhm.
she just wanted to shag her. Is that why she's done all this?
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. Yep. And there's nothing to suggest earlier on in the film that there's any like psychosis or, they haven't said, oh, we're going out to the country because I need a break because I've just had a mental breakdown or
Yeah, she's been
something.
through some sort of trauma or
Yeah,
something.
like there's no reason given for this. The only thing that kind of gives a hint is, I think early in the film Alex says she'd been like sleeping with some boy and then she turns around and calls her a slut or something, and it seems to be like a
Mm.
little jealous tiff there. But like, yeah, there's nothing that kind of leads us to believe that she has any like there's been any sort of like mental health stuff. Uh, for them then to just suddenly be like, oh, she crazy. It's
Yeah, I
like,
wonder if maybe they should have tried to build that up a little bit,
yeah,
um, to make the end more believable and acceptable.
mhm,
But then it might have been less shocking as well.
maybe,
So it's
yeah,
kind of, you know,
yeah.
six of one, half a dozen of the other.
Water off a duck's back.
Aye. Any more? Let's keep throwing them out there. No.
I can't think of any
So I
others.
think just in general, we both enjoyed the film.
Mhm.
It was extreme. It is gory. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
No,
I, I I didn't think it was too over the top. It was quite
no.
realistic.
It's fine. I think the only one that got me was the head
The
with
head,
the dresser. I was a bit like, come on, Quentin Tarantino, calm down.
I know, but like, come on. I just want to say as well that the special effects were done by an Italian legend, Gianetto De Rossi, who's worked with Fulci before, and he sort of rose to fame working on the likes of Zombie and those type of movies.
Mhm.
So Italian splatter. That's why there's so much blood and gore in it, because they're sort of famous for that
Mhm.
type of splatter. Sadly passed away, but uh, there's also an interview on the Blu-ray with him as well, which is nice and insightful, and it's nice to hear what he had to say on it as
Nice.
well. So, but yeah, general consensus, we loved it up until the end. So I think that's kind of what most of
That's
the
it.
reviews
Yeah.
will say if you go and read about it. I just don't think the end really offers anything
It's not the payoff you want from this film, I don't
other
think.
than just like, oh, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah. That's I think what they were trying to achieve was to shock the audience, but for me and for you, in the sense of it, like it just fell a bit flat at that point because I think I just wanted her to win. Like that's what I wanted from it was her to win.
If they sat down and did a page one rewrite of the script, it's not so much that she was the killer that annoyed me.
Yeah.
It's they could have written scenes differently
Yeah.
to
To
make
make
it
it more
more believable in the
sense.
end when
Yeah.
the reveal happened, I
I
think.
think
So
if if it had been done that way, I would have probably appreciated it more. But because there's too many plot holes and stuff in there that,
yeah.
like I said, the decapitated head blowjob at the start makes no sense. the conversations with this, the guy in the petrol station doesn't really add up. Yeah, there's too many just wee moments where it's like that. How did that happen if she was him? And
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
it feels like a lot of the film is thrown away just by saying, "Oh, it was all in her head." Yeah, but like, what's the point of anything if you're just going to have that kind of redundant idea? Oh, it's
yeah,
all in her head.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so I mean, I still think it's an important
It's
piece of
worth a
film.
watch. I do think it's
Like,
worth a watch,
yeah, it's
100%.
100% it's worth a watch. It's
Hmm.
I do feel like it will be looked on as being an important part of French cinema. You know, it was very influential at the time. It was one of the first kind of French extreme films, and it kind of helped to launch that subgenre. I think anyway. If you look at a lot of films that came after it, it kind of helped to inspire them. But I just wonder, had it been written slightly different, how well it would have been received, and would we be looking at it as being even more important? No,
Is it time to reboot it? Is it time
yeah,
to reboot it, America?
no, absolutely
Not
not.
America. Let the
Who would
French
you
reboot
who
it.
would you get to star in it?
Who would I get to star
Just
in it?
interestingly enough, if we
Ooh.
if we had to choose a US
A US version of it.
actors, directors,
Um, ooh, I think Willem Dafoe as the killer. I think I would like to see him being a
okay, okay,
being a
interesting.
pretty good boy. Yeah. Um, Florence Pugh as our protagonist, because I love Florence Pugh,
hmm
and I
hmm
think she would be a good fit for that.
You just want to see Florence running around in a wee white vest, covered in blood.
No, no. And who would?
Excuse me.
Oh, don't die, Gav. Um, who would I get to direct it? Who could pull off something as something like that? There, a good tense. Who's good at building tension? Could,
McG.
could Eggers do it?
Nah.
No,
He could, of course he could, but I wouldn't.
good. But
Nah.
who do you reckon? Who would you?
Um, who knows? Maybe it'll be Jordan Peele's fourth movie.
Hmm. Let us know in the comments below if they were to do a an American remake. If yeah, an American remake, who's directing it and who's going to star in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we'll just leave it like that. Say no more about it. Go and pre-order the Blu-ray. It's definitely worth a watch. Looks looks beautiful on
It's on
Blu-ray, and
Shudder if you don't want to if you don't want to commit to a Blu-ray. If we haven't really sold it to you, it is on Shudder to
it's on
watch as
Shudder.
well.
But it's probably not great.
Not sponsored by
It's
Shudder,
not
by the way.
sponsored. We're not sponsored by
Unless
Shudder.
you want to,
Unless
Shudder.
you want to throw some dough, Shuds. Go on, Shuds. Um, yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Unfortunately, the ending didn't do it for us. And yeah, what can we say about it? We've said all we can. As always, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you're a fan, let us know. And if you weren't a fan, let us know as well. And go and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and go and like us on Facebook as well. Please check out the website at www.thefrightclubni.com. I actually have written a review on the Blu-ray version. If you want to go and read that, then go
Mhm.
ahead and do that. I'll put a link in below as well.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit
Subscribe.
the little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post
Ah,
more Monday Night Frights, which will hopefully not be delayed any longer because we're
no.
getting better. Gav's still coughing up a lung, but he will get better, I hope. Don't die, Gav, please.
Well, this is the first time we've ever had to delay an episode by a week.
Yeah, first time
So
in what? When did we start this? How long are we going
nearly
now?
4 years.
Gee whiz.
3 years?
Gee whiz, Batman.
Well, we're not too far away from 100 episodes. So,
Oh,
oh
oh,
fuck. I hope we get there.
we survive. We don't end up falling to bits. Falling to absolute
Right.
bits.
Well, I'm off to go and take more tablets,
Do it,
and
man.
to
Do
rub a
it.
little bit of vapor rub on my chest,
Oh, all over your
on my
titties.
wee nipples.
Ooh.
Uh, you're off to do what,
I'm,
Danny?
I'm off to go get my car back.
Go get your car back.
Go get my car. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go do. Go get my car and eat some green Thai curry.
Is it fucked? Is your car fucked again?
No, no, it's fine. Just it was getting its MOT
Ah,
sorted,
okay.
so yeah.
Right. Anyway, until 2 weeks, stay safe, take care, all the best.
Bye. It was me all along.
I'm not really here.